Alright, here we are back again making another video. Today's video is going to be an Axiom. Alright, we're on Operation Dead End. This is an Axiom on Dead End. And it's not the best Axiom to make a video on, because it's probably the most easiest Axiom I might have ever seen. But as you can see, my unboosted stats, it's so easy that I didn't even bother to boost. I didn't even bother to boost the statue. I went in completely unboosted and lost 14 Zukas. That'll tell you how easy this Axiom was. But even on the harder Axioms, there's no mine clearing. There's no fancy walk. It's just hit your smokes. Don't gap your smokes, and you can and hit your shocks, and you can do reasonably well on an Axiom. Now, on Axiom, most of the time you'll see this one has very few defenses. Very few defensive building. Almost all the time, I've never seen one with so few. It's actually weird. This is the first op we've done post update with the third hero. So I don't know if they made any other changes, but this is the first op we've done since the update this morning, and this is the easiest Axiom I have ever seen. Now, even no matter which Axiom you draw, pretty much always your kill spot's going to be up here in between this cannon and these up here in this corner. Most of the time, that's always going to be your flare point and where you want to go. There's always pretty much always. I don't say always, but most of the time, there's always going to be these 3 rockets up here. But then there's also going to be rockets down here, over here somewhere. Typically, you'll have 3 or 4 shocks, sometimes 5 to contend with. But as you can see here, this is a 1 shock Axiom with very little, with a cold beach. So I went in unboosted and did it. Now what we're going to do pretty much all the time, a lot of the times there's some power cells down here in this lower right hand side where you can drop a couple of boats of Zukas, or all of your Zukas, and eat and gather a good bit of GBE for the Axioms that have several shocks. But this one, of course, with 1 shock, we don't need it. We don't need the GBE. But even on the Axioms where you do go right and eat some power cells and destroy some defensive buildings, you're going to throw a flare and regather all your Zukas over here next to this boom cannon. This is the gathering point where you start your walk, no matter how you do it. So you'll throw a flare right next to the boom cannon and a smoke to gather your Zukas before you make the walk up. That's if you're going from the beach, or if you destroy a bunch of defensive buildings over here to the right. You'll flare back over here next to this boom cannon, and that will be your starting point. And typically, before the hero updates, I would always just do a long flare up here into this corner. But since we're taking the hero with us these days, I need to do a short flare to prevent my hero from getting too far ahead of my Zukas. So I'm going to throw a short flare about halfway, and then we're going to flare up into the corner. Like I said, the secret to an Axiom, they're pretty simple. Is just to hit your smokes. Don't be late with your smokes and let a machine gun or a flamethrower light you up on your way by. So let's have a look in real time. Just unload. And it's not even entirely necessary to do the beach run or the flare unload like I did. You could just flag land and throw a flare up to gather them by the boom cannon, but I just like to have them all in a batch to start with. And this will, right around here in this area, a little bit to the right, up, it doesn't matter. Somewhere in that area is where we'll always gather. And I'll throw the short flare, and then it's just hitting your smokes. Overlap them a little bit if you need to. This is a really easy map. Now we flare up to the corner. Now, usually this whole area where we're going through right now is covered in flamethrowers, so you need to make sure you maybe even overlap your smokes a little bit going through that area on a normal Axiom, because if you leave a little bit of gap and let one of those flamethrowers get you, you're dead. Flare the core and hit the rockets, and then it's over with. I mean, because well, I'm sure I had the GBE for another couple of shocks if I needed them, because I reshocked the rockets. So that's an Axiom. You just always remember around the core whenever you're smoking up through here. This is where I used to make a lot of mistakes, and where I still see people make the most amount of mistakes is whenever you're going through this area right here. Normally on an Axiom, this whole area that you see in the screen right now is smothered in flamethrowers, and they're going to split some of the flamethrowers or go single file. Don't overlap your smokes if you need to. Make sure, and don't be late with them, because just a tiny gap in the smoke around a flamethrower is death to Zuka. So just that's the best advice I can really give on an Axiom is make sure that you smoke well through them flamethrowers, because if you just the smallest gap, and you're not going to finish, you're gonna look like an idiot in front of all your task force mates. So yeah, like I did right here, don't leave that little gap in the smoke. But remember that, and you'll be all right on an Axiom. And until next time.